West Virginia basketball is back on the map, and it only took 5 games. This is an emergency Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Are you kidding me? West Virginia upsets Gonzaga at the Battle for Atlantis. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. This segment is only about the West Virginia Mountaineers basketball team and what they just did against the Gonzaga Bulldogs. I tweeted, we're sitting at a point where it's 71-66. There are 25 seconds left in this game, and Gonzaga leads West Virginia. I am wholly prepared at this point for the Mountaineers to lose. They fought hard, and I thought this is the appropriate time to tweet out, hey, West Virginia did all it could. Maybe next time. West Virginia is legit, I say. Javon Small is legit. This game was completely epic. Just needed Small to hit one last big shot, but the tank was empty. Gonzaga narrowly escapes. Wrong. Incorrect. That was tweeted 25 minutes before the most shocking win of the Big 12 season so far. What West Virginia just did for this conference was become the first team outside of Kansas to get a marquee top 5 win, and it wasn't Kansas. It wasn't Baylor. It wasn't Arizona or Houston. And I would argue, and I'm sure their fan bases would agree, for Arizona and Houston and Baylor, those teams have underperformed so far this season. This was a school that everyone has written off in West Virginia that just beat number 3 Gonzaga, the same Gonzaga team that when they played Baylor earlier this season, boat raced them, waxed them. The Bears look non-competitive. Talk about competition. The Mountaineers just won this game outright. Game ball. Javon Small certainly deserves that. And I'm going to talk about him a lot. I'll talk about Tucker DeVries a lot. But how about your head coach? Darian DeVries going into a dumpster fire of a situation. Like sub-10 wins last year. You're looking around sitting in the Big 12, which is the toughest conference in basketball, saying, how are we going to rebuild? You've seen schools like Oklahoma State struggle so much to compete. Even with new head coaches, no matter what they do, the Big 12 was just that tough. And to the end of the Bob Huggins era that wasn't as consistent as those mid-2010s. And even going into the Bob Huggins controversy and how bad football has been, and West Virginia fans just want something to be excited about. Then I'm sitting there on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, fat, sassy, and happy, eating my food. To be completely honest with you, I'm watching the Iowa State-Colorado game. 2 Big 12 teams for the price of one. 2 birds, 1 stone for the guy that hosts Locked On Big 12. And then I flip it over. I checked the score earlier, first half, early second half, I think it was, and West Virginia was down by 10. I was like, they fought hard there for a while, but in the end, it's still Gonzaga. They're still one of the best teams in the country. And by the time there's 8 minutes to go, I turn it on, and West Virginia's ahead. Like, what's going on here, guys? But still, there's no way they close it out. First-year head coach, massive turnaround, a lot of new names. Maybe your best player right now was on Oklahoma State's roster last year. West Virginia played 8 guys in this game. This isn't a completely deep roster. This isn't a team that, to me, was ready to compete. And that's not a wild statement. You just hired this new head coach from Drake, who brought his son over, who's a stud, by the way. And how do you ask him to go to the Battle for Atlantis and compete already? I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was Baylor who played in a Coastal Carolina hosted tournament in Conway, South Carolina. And I thought, that's it. When you have a young team, a team that is just now being put together, don't go to the Battle for Atlantis. Don't go to the Maui Invitational. Don't play Gonzaga. Ease yourself into it. West Virginia, Darian DeVries said, screw that. We're going to the Battle for Atlantis, and we're going to beat Gonzaga. Wow. This is the same West Virginia that got trounced by Pitt. And I thought, okay, that's fine. You're still not ready. Maybe you're a year away. Maybe you're 2 years away. Give it time. This was a very tough situation to walk into. But Ren Baker, this is one game. Ren Baker made the right hire. And part of that is 50% of the hire is Tucker DeVries. who put up 16. They were a very clutch 16. Hit that 3 at the end of the game. Hit the free throws at the end of the game. You want the coach's kid at the free throw line. He's a big dude, by the way. He is going to wreak havoc on the Big 12. He is going to be a stud in the Big 12. There was a question of, will it translate? He was very good at Drake. Will it translate to the power level of college basketball at West Virginia? You just saw it against the number 3 team in the country. How about Javon Small? And Javon Small's been good at basketball, but this is a different level. And there at the end of the game, he had a couple opportunities from 3, a couple that were open, or he could have tied it, could have helped taking the lead within a minute. And what's great to me is that in overtime, it felt like Small was the guy. He had been the guy. He already had like 24 points going into OT, and he scores another 7 or so in that period. But there at the last minute and a half to go, it was Tucker DeVries getting it done. You had 2 closers in this game. You had 2 guys who said, oh, excuse me, here are my cojones. I'm going to put them on the table and beat your basketball team. Amani Hansberry. That trio is studly. From DeVries to Hansberry to Small. That is going to keep you in a whole lot of Big 12 games. Now, the bench for West Virginia scored 2 points. There's just good. We could probably get better in that category. But when the starters are putting up 84 of your 86, your starters are putting up 84 and beating this Gonzaga team, a very, very good Gonzaga team, who got 19 off the bench from Braden Huff. And you saw from Ajayi to EK to Nembhard how good Gonzaga is. The same Gonzaga team I watched blow the doors off of Baylor a couple of weeks ago. But West Virginia was just the grittier team. Now, if we're honest with ourselves here, our friends in the Stripes were very kind. They also were excited to see West Virginia play basketball. I didn't mind that part. Did the referees win them the game? No. Were a lot of these Gonzaga the calls that Gonzaga was protesting actually good calls? Yes. A couple times you're like, okay. Also, yes. But I just thought the whistle airs on the side of the tougher team a lot. And it wasn't that the officiating crew was conspiring against Gonzaga. You're going to err on the side of the team that is putting in more. And Ryan Nembhard went 1 for 10 today. The officials, they can't affect that. Graham Ike went 1 for 6 today, 5 points. The officials didn't do that. I'm just happy, man. Basketball's back in West Virginia. Basketball's back in Morgantown. Good sports are back in West Virginia. This has been a fan base that I've been so sad for, because this is a storied athletic department. Basketball's been good. Football's been good until a couple of years ago. It just stopped. And your athletic director is like, oh, well, I hope it gets good again. This is a great move. This is a great first step for Ren Baker, a great first step for the basketball program. And hats off to West Virginia basketball for beating Gonzaga and giving the Big 12 a very big marquee win. Now go enjoy some food. Roll Mountaineers, roll in the ears. This has been and always will be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.